I talked about hypothermia before, but hyperthermia can be just as dangerous. If you're outside in a heat wave, it can be more than just uncomfortable, it can be deadly. Luckily, there's a few things that you can do to prepare the next time that it heats up.
My name is Laura Zara.
The most important thing is not dying.
I'm a survival and backcountry specialist.
I'm getting caught on every tree branch. Whew. I love antlers.
I have a hard time explaining what I do and what my life looks like.
But it's way easier to just show you.
Sometimes you end up in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you can't always predict where the bears are gonna be. Learn what it takes to become decivilized.
So, dehydration. The human body can go 3 days, give or take a little bit, without water, but the problems start cropping up way before then. I can tell you that from personal experience. Fatigue, loss of muscle strength, cloudy thinking, and it just gets worse from there. Dehydration can lead to overheating, because if your body doesn't have enough fluids to sweat enough, then your temperature can skyrocket and you can experience all sorts of really fun things that we're gonna talk about later. However, if you are chugging water thinking that you're just gonna be fine, nope. You can actually be in danger of overhydrating. It's so complicated. As your body sweats, you lose all sorts of important minerals like sodium and calcium and potassium, and your body needs those to function. So if you're out there sweating like a pig in a heat wave, then you need to be replacing electrolytes and not just trying to replace it all with water. Otherwise, you could develop hyponatremia, which basically means there's not enough of the good stuff in your blood because you've been diluting it by chugging all that water. And if you drink more water, it's gonna make that worse. And it really sucks because the symptoms for overhydration are extremely similar to the symptoms of dehydration. It's just how it is. Which brings me to the whole you have to pee clear thing. When I'm in the backcountry, I like to keep my pee to a light yellow hue. If you have like unlimited water and unlimited electrolytes, go for it. You pee clear all day and have fun with that. Usually in the backcountry, you have limited water because you can only carry so much, and if you start chugging that, it's just gonna turn into pee, and that's no good. So take small sips so your body actually has time to absorb it. If you're worried that you're sweating too much and you're drinking water but you're not replacing anything, try licking your arms. Sweat contains salt and trace amounts of minerals and even metals, so go crazy, lick your friends. It's even more effective if you just bring electrolytes. So that's why I always carry electrolytes in my ship bag. Heat exhaustion is another serious problem that can develop, especially if you're dehydrated. Your body temperature gets over 100 degrees, and this can be a slippery slope into heat stroke, which is a true medical emergency. Both heat exhaustion and heat stroke are usually from a combination of gnarly heat and exertion, but either one of these factors, if they're extreme enough, can be the sole cause, especially if you have any of these risk factors. It's even worse when it's hot and humid because it reduces your body's ability to sweat, which is how we cool down, so that sucks. The symptoms of heat exhaustion read like the side effects of a new drug. Symptoms may include headache, faintness, thirst, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, rapid faint pulse and heart rate, quick and shallow breathing, dilated pupils, weakness, muscle cramps, fainting, irritability, high body temperature, and exhaustion. Another symptom is cool, pale, and clammy skin, and that's because your body is still trying really hard to sweat and cool you down. It's just not doing enough and your temperature is still high, but it's trying so hard. If this happens, you need to cool down and get fluids into you immediately. Basically, think about all the things that could contribute to hypothermia, all the ways that you can lose heat, and instead of avoiding them, you want to use them to your advantage. The first thing you want to do is try to move to a cooler environment, so getting in the shade or up next to a rock that might still be cool, or get in a cave.
This is great.
This is my home. If you have any extra clothing you can remove, do that. If you only have a little bit of water, then you can pour it onto clothing and use that to cool down your skin, but don't like wrap yourself in it because eventually it'll heat up and then it'll start to insulate you and have the opposite effect. The best thing that you could probably do would be to sit in a stream and relax and sip on your electrolyte beverage, unless you're vomiting, in which case you don't want to do that, because if you keep puking stuff up, then you're going to lose any fluids that you do have left in your body. If you can find a cool breeze to sit in, great, but if the heat index is over the high 90s, then it actually heats you up more than it cools you down. If you can cool down in 30 minutes or so, great, it's not an emergency, but it's not just business as usual again. You really have to watch it for the next few days. Your body got thrown all out of whack, so don't push it, take it easy. Keep monitoring your temperature. You do want to get immediate help though if you can't get your temperature down on your own, or if you experience any of the following symptoms: confusion, loss of consciousness or seizures, not sweating even though you feel hot, shortness of breath, fast breathing, excessive nausea or vomiting. You happen to have a thermometer and you have a body temperature that is over 104 degrees Fahrenheit. This could be the start of heat stroke. It is a real medical emergency and you don't want to f around with that. There's over 600 deaths in the US alone from heat stroke each year. You'll often see behavioral changes as all of the blood in your body rushes to the surface to try to cool off, and that means there's not a lot of blood in your brain. You could have confusion, delirium, agitation, combativeness. Slurred speech is basically me after I have one drink. This can come on suddenly or it can be gradual. Physically, you're gonna experience such delights as throbbing headache, weakness, nausea and vomiting, dizziness, rapid and strong pulse, red, hot, dry skin, and loss of consciousness resulting in seizures and multi-organ dysfunction. It is possible to get heat stroke from exerting yourself in a really extreme way. So just because you're sweaty doesn't necessarily mean it's not heat stroke. Typically in classic heat stroke, you'll have dry skin, but if it's from exertion, you can be sweaty. So that one can really go either way. A lot of the symptoms of heat stroke are pretty similar to heat exhaustion, but there's a few little delights that start cropping up that include, if this happens, this person needs to be cooled off aggressively. The main difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke is an immediate call to 911 if at all possible, getting this person medical attention, and do not give them fluids. So cool that motherfucker down. The gold standard is considered an immersion in an ice bath. That is gonna bring your core temperature down really effectively. It's the fastest way to cool someone down. Obviously, you don't just wanna submerge this person if they're unconscious or if they're really struggling, so you wanna make sure that you're holding them in their water and that you're holding their head above the water. If you don't have access to a lot of water, you can cool just the hands and feet. You can lose a lot of heat that way. Ice packs, use them if you got them and just pack them around your hot little friend. It's not gonna be as effective as if you can submerge that person in ice water. We can have 100-degree days here in Montana where there's still snow in the mountains. So if you happen to have snow, use that. Even the healthiest person can die from heat stroke if they're left in those conditions and don't receive treatment. So it's something that you really want to take seriously and get on it. So moving on to lighter subjects, heat cramps. Heat cramps are usually in the abdomen. They usually follow like a lot of exertion. I think heat cramps are a really great thing because it's this warning sign that things might be escalating and you probably need to like slow it down, maybe throw in the towel for the day. If you do get them, you can try putting some pressure on it, massaging a little bit, take some sips of your electrolyte beverage, and maybe stop moving around so vigorously. Then there's sun exposure, which usually goes hand in hand with heat waves. And the bad thing about it is that sunburn can actually make it harder for your body to cool down. So you can see where that's headed. Lips are really sensitive to the sun, and it is not fun when they swell up and you can't even close your mouth and you look like an actual clown like I did in this photo where I had sun poisoning. This is where you really learn the benefit of a good SPF chapstick. Don't trust clouds to filter that UV out because they really don't. The sun is more intense at altitude and you're at higher risk of getting a sunburn because there's less atmosphere for the sun to filter through. Water and even frozen water like snow and ice are really good at reflecting the sun, so you're not even safe in the winter. If you're in the backcountry during a heat wave, you really have all the ingredients there to have things line up to be pretty bad for you. The first thing to do would be to try to prevent things from happening. Don't underestimate the power of becoming acclimatized to the heat. If you have the option of spending a few days in that environment where you're not exerting yourself and let your body get used to that, that's gonna help you out. If you can get your sauna to above 180 degrees and then spend about 25 minutes in there after a workout or a hike and do that 3 or 4 times a week, that's gonna help to customize your body to dealing with heat. As far as protection goes, you wanna be thinking about wearing lightweight clothes in light colors and properly applying sunscreen. Wide-brimmed hats in light colors are really great at protecting your head and your neck from the sun. Timing is also really important. Plan your hike around the hottest part of the day. So try to utilize the early mornings or the late afternoons. You're gonna become crepuscular like the animals. If there's not really solid shade and you're feeling the sun, you can make your own shade if you have an oh shit bag by using your emergency blanket. I always make sure I have a headlamp when I'm out and it's really hot out because there's the potential of me having to wait until night falls for it to cool down enough to move without potentially having heat stroke or heat exhaustion. If it comes to that, it's better to wait and have a walk out in the dark and be a little late for whatever your fun, happy plans were, than to die. You also wanna make sure that you have some high protein snacks because that high protein is gonna allow your body to access those minerals. I'm bringing it back to pee. So if you notice that you're not peeing that much or that your pee is like a really dark yellow color, your body's trying to tell you something. So pay attention to that. If you see water out there, take advantage of it. Jump in it, cool down, dunk your clothes in it. I like to have a bandana that I put in the water and then put around my neck, and it's amazing how cool it'll keep me. You do see that water, take a mental note of remembering where it was in case you need to come back there to cool down. Know your limits, know when to turn around and call that hike, and know when it's not worth it. If you don't have access to good shade, it might not even be worth doing if you are in a heat wave. Wait till it gets cooler out. If it's been unusually hot weather, then creeks that have always been there might have dried up, so don't count on them being there. A word on dogs. Like most animals, dogs are really susceptible to heat because they can't sweat adequately. They only have a few sweat glands on the pads of their feet, and that's it. When I'm in the backcountry with my dog, I try to only move around in the nights and evenings, and I really pay attention to that temperature. I know that I'm gonna handle it better than he can. I don't wanna push him. You wanna look for really heavy, fast panting, a high heart rate, skin that's hot to the touch. If they're lethargic, they're trying to lay down at every patch of shade they find, might be time to cool that dog off. You can cool them down with cool water, but you don't wanna use cold water because dogs can actually go into shock from cold water. You can put the cool water on their armpits, their stomach, their feet, their head, anywhere that there's less hair where it's gonna reach their skin. If you can, get them back to the car, put them right in front of the AC, and if they're not looking great, then get them to the vet. When dealing with a heat wave, it's like the message that you used to write in your friends' yearbooks way back in the day: stay cool. And also, pay attention to your pee. Oh my God, I thought I just deleted the entire note. I almost f***ing shat my pants. Ample. Why am I using the word ample? I think I'm dehydrated. Satan's oppressive breath. Getting wild up in here. You need those for your bodily functions. That sounds like I'm talking about farts, but I'm not.